אוקיי, אנחנו בלייב. שלום לכולם, מה שלומכם? לייב ראיון עם, אתם יודעים, עם מי? הוא ממש עוד רגע יעלה, אתם רואים, כבר המקום שלו מוכן. אני רוצה קצת שניתן לקהל להתמלא, שאנשים יצטרפו. וממש עוד מעט נתחיל. אני מזכיר לכם, אתם יכולים לשאול שאלות בצ'אט, הכל פתוח לשאלות מהצ'אט, אל תשכחו, וכן, חוץ מזה, אין לי עוד מה להגיד. טוב, אז אני הולך לשאול שאלות באנגלית, אז תשאלו שאלות באנגלית בצ'אט, ואני גם הולך לתרגם את התשובות שלו לעברית, אוקיי? כדי שכולם יבינו. טוב, so, welcome, Milan.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for having me. Yeah.
Of
I
course.
promised that I would speak to you for a long time, so it's cool that it finally happened, right?
Yeah. So I'll just tell them a bit the situation slightly.
Okay, that's fine.
קיובהד
Yeah.
היה אמור להיות האורח בגמר של גביע האונליין, ובגלל איזה חוסר תקשורת בינינו אז זה קצת התפקשש, אבל הכוונות שלו היו טובות, אז הוא כאן איתנו עכשיו, כי הוא לא רצה לפספס את זה. Okay, so we are very glad to have you. I just told them a bit like why we couldn't do it. But thankfully you are a great person and you were willing to come anyway. Okay, so we're already getting questions from the chat. But firstly, I will introduce myself. I am Amitai Ziv. I am an Israeli delegate, and I also interview people on our YouTube channel. I already interviewed Felix Zemdex, of course, and Ezra Shear, the Pyraminx former world record holder. And now I am with קיובהד, Milan, the national record holder for 3x3 singles still. That wasn't beaten yet. Okay, so firstly, I will say we already have 60 viewers, so that's a lot. Okay, we didn't get 60 live viewers, never yet. And we already get a lot of questions from the chat, and I will start by the first one. Okay, the first question is, firstly, so many people say, I love you, thank you, wow, yo.
That's awesome.
Okay,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
So you know you are making a lot of people happy. So what's up, guys? Like those questions, yeah. Okay, now the first real question. What or whom inspired you to be a קיובינג YouTuber?
I don't think there's like necessarily like one person who inspired me to do it. I think it's just like a accumulation of like a lot of things that were happening. I think for me there were like people that inspired me in cubing, obviously, and I think at the time it was mostly Felix Zemdex because he was always like the icon of cubing. He was like dominating everything, and I think like not only his skills but also like the personality he had. He was such a humble guy, and I think he was like a true icon. So obviously Felix inspired me. At the same time, JPerm was like making his job of YouTube. Like I think he was like the first person that I knew of who made like cubing his full-time job, like making content of it. I think like at the time he had like 100,000 subscribers. But I noticed on YouTube that most of the content was like really either like tutorial based or like super explaining stuff or like kind of like static. And I thought, like a big part of YouTube was obviously like entertainment, a lot of humor and stuff. So I thought, I'm just gonna do it in my way, like add a bunch of personality to it, and that's just how it happened. I don't think there's like necessarily like one person who inspired it, but I think like JPerm and like Felix at the time were definitely like my cubing inspirations. Yeah.
Okay, great. I will translate it. אז בעצם הוא אומר לנו שבזמנו מה שהיה זה שרוב הסרטונים ביוטיוב הם היו מאוד טכניים, מאוד ללמד איך עושים דברים, להסביר איך עושים דברים, וזה גם היה השלב שג'ייפר מתחיל לגדול, ולהפוך את זה ממש לעבודה שלו, וחוץ ממנו גם היה את פיליק זנדרגס, שהוא כמובן דמות להערצה לכולנו, והוא החליט שהוא רוצה לעשות את זה בדרך שלו, לעשות משהו בדרך שלו שהוא יותר מענה, יותר כיפי, ופחות ללמד ולהיות מאוד טכני. אז זו התשובה לשאלה הזו. Now I will ask you a question, because that answer raised a question in me. You know, you are from Belgium.
Yeah.
J-Perm, you know, Felix are from English-speaking countries. I myself am not. I learned English like you. You do have an accent. It isn't bad. I mean, have an accent as well. But did you find it difficult at start to make videos because of a language barrier? I mean, I know now, obviously not, but at the start, maybe.
Yeah, can I first ask a question? Like, how good is the English of like your audience? Like, do a lot of people understand what I'm saying, or?
Yeah, I believe they do. Yeah, but you know, for the few who don't.
Yeah. No, I
translate
was
it.
just wondering. So, I think it was definitely a barrier because when I started doing YouTube, I was, I believe, 21 years old, and the reason I could start doing it was because I was pretty confident at my speaking like skills. You know, I knew that English, I understood English. I was pretty comfortable speaking English. And the reason for that was the year prior to when I started, I went to an American school. I mean, it wasn't in America, but it was an academy in Italy, but it was like from Apple, and everyone had to speak English. So I had to speak English for an entire year. And I think that was mainly the reason why my English got good enough to start a YouTube channel, because I don't think a lot of people know this, but once you start recording yourself, it's super difficult to suddenly start talking about stuff and speaking properly, because suddenly you'll mess up and a lot of things get edited out. And if you're not comfortable at speaking English, it's like really difficult to create good videos, because you will rewatch your videos and it becomes like so difficult to work with. So I think like you definitely have to be comfortable at speaking English. And that's also, I think, why we don't see a lot of big European channels yet. I'm like one of the few because I was pretty old when I started and my English already gotten pretty good. But like all of the big channels you see nowadays are from people who natively speak English. And maybe that will change soon, but I think that's a really good question though, because it's definitely a barrier for a lot of children who want to start a channel or anything. Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah, that's great. So, אז הוא אומר לנו שבעצם שנה לפני שהוא התחיל להכניס סרטונים, הוא הלך לאיזשהו בית ספר, הוא היה כבר בן 21, אבל הלך לאיזשהו מכללה כזאת שהוא דיבר בה כל הזמן באנגלית, זה מקום שלומדים בו באנגלית, למרות שהוא גר בבלגיה, ומה שקרה זה שזה נתן דחיפה לאנגלית שלו, והוא הרגיש מספיק בטוח כדי להכניס סרטונים באנגלית לכל העולם. והוא אומר שזה באמת מחסום רציני נגיד אנשים שסתם לא מדברים אנגלית כשפת אם, כדי להיכנס לתחום הזה, כי זה מוריד חשיפה כשלא מדברים אנגלית. אוקיי, doing great. Now, someone is asking, you know, I'm not following when do you compete, but he asks, why did you stop competing? Did you stop competing? I don't know.
So I don't compete I don't compete as often, but funnily enough, I'm just back from a competition in Belgium. So I did a competition yesterday, actually.
All right.
Yeah, I think there's like a few reasons for that. Like, I think like firstly, I haven't practiced that well to like be comfortable like competing and expecting good results, which is kind of funny because I've been making tutorials about like techniques and stuff, and I'm planning to do more. So I think I will actually get better into like trying to improve my times and stuff. Although I have been like practicing, I haven't really like worked up to a competition or anything. Secondly, also like I think you can understand, but for me, when I go to a competition right now, the vibe is different than it used to be. So it comes with a lot of, I don't know how to call it, but kind of like responsibility towards like people who expect to like meet me. And there sometimes it's a lot because like these competitions are usually pretty small, right? They're like in schools or like
Yeah, in Belgium, I mean, the community isn't huge,
yeah.
right?
So usually
Pretty
these competitions
intimate.
are pretty small. So you have to be there the entire day with like a bunch of people, and a lot of them try to like speak to you. And it's not like
And
I
all
don't
of
want to
them know
do that,
you
but
and you don't know them.
yeah, exactly. Sometimes it's a weird vibe. So I'm not like entirely against that because obviously I want to meet my fans and my audience, but it's like sometimes it just requires a lot. That's why I do like to go to these bigger competitions. For example, I try to go to like all of the European and like world championships because one, it is easier to make content in those competitions because like you have more like top cubers and you can actually tell a story. But also like usually there's like more well-known people in those competitions. So um the focus is more spread out and it's like yeah, it's a bit easier for me to deal with. But I think I will still be going to like some competitions, but just not as often as I used to, and that's the reason. It just became something different nowadays for me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's understandable. I mean, just a quick question. I'm like, how many competitions do you have in Belgium usually?
I think
Like once every.
we have more nowadays. I'm not entirely sure. Um, I think like once every 2 months or something like that. I
I
think
see.
it used to be less. I think we're more active right now. But it's also like Belgium is kind of like a weird country because like the northern part is like Dutch and like the southern part is like French. And we kind of see that as like two different countries. So whenever it's like in
Yeah.
the southern part of Belgium, it's already pretty far. As opposed to where I live just like 20 minutes from the Netherlands. So often, and in the Netherlands, they speak Dutch. So we pretty much speak the same language. So it's like sometimes I would just like drive to the Netherlands because it's either like more nearby or it feels almost just as much as home as it would in a Belgium competition, you
Yeah, I
know?
see.
So in that sense, like Netherlands is like pretty active actually, like their cubing community. They have like a lot of really good cubers as well. So I sometimes just go to like Dutch competitions.
I see. So you have
Yeah.
a selection. You can go to the Netherlands and Belgium.
Yeah, and
In Israel,
also like
Israel, we can't really go anywhere.
oh yeah. Yeah, I
We're pretty
wouldn't know about.
landlocked, yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's not great. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I try my best to organize competitions, and
Yeah,
I think
how many
people
competitions do you
are
have a year? How many competitions do you do?
Oh, okay. So I mean, this year, I mean, now it's the end of March. Okay, yeah, right? 3 months have
Yeah,
passed, right? And we had already um, six.
that's really good.
Now, three of those were like half a day competitions with less events and more like 6x6, 7x7, blind stuff like that.
Okay.
But three large competitions, like a 3x3, yeah. I try my best, and also the team, of course.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes we fly to Cyprus, which is 40 minutes flight, and we join the community over there. Yeah, we are already natives in Cyprus. That's our go-to other country. Yes. אוקיי, אז אני אתרגם להם רגע לעברית. גם לגבי השאלה הקודמת וגם לגבי השאלה הזו, אז שאלו למה הוא הפסיק להתחרות, אז הוא לא הפסיק להתחרות, הוא היה ממש אתמול בתחרות, אבל הוא מרגיש שעכשיו כשיש תחרות אז זה יותר מסתם לבוא להתחרות, הוא מגיע ויש עליו ציפיות, אנשים מגיעים והם יודעים שהוא מגיע לתחרות, אז זה יותר מרק להתחרות, הוא גם צריך לפגוש את המעריצים שלו, שהוא כמובן לא נגד זה, אבל זה הופך את זה לקצת יותר קשה, והוא מרגיש שהוא גם לא מתאמן מספיק כדי להצדיק לבוא לתחרות, לרשום תוצאות חדשות, אז הוא בסדר עם הקצב תחרויות שלו, והוא אמר שהוא בכללי הרבה יותר אוהב להגיע לתחרויות גדולות, אליפויות, כמו אליפות העולם או אליפות אירופה, כי שם יש עוד כל מיני יוטיוברים, והפריסה של מי מחפש תשומת לב נפרסת הרבה יותר על כמה אנשים. חוץ מזה הוא גם אמר שבבלגיה בערך יש תחרות פעם בחודשיים, אבל הוא גר מאוד מאוד קרוב להולנד, כי באירופה אפשר לעבור בין מדינות בלי בעיה, אז הוא לפעמים גם נוסע להולנד להתחרות בהולנד, כי זה מאוד מאוד קרוב. והם מדברים בערך אותה שפה מהקרבה. Okay, so now when most people know what you answered, we can continue. Okay, favorite pizza toppings. This is, before you answer, this is a question from Nathaniel Poor, who yesterday set the European record for pyramid single of 8.83 seconds. It was a, oh yeah, I went to a competition yesterday as well, by the way, and it was great to have my first European record delegated competition, and thanks to him, of course. It was a great solve, and now you can answer. What are your favorite pizza toppings?
Yeah, congrats first of all. So yeah, that can be like a loaded question because I studied in studied in Napoli for a year, which was Italy, and they're like really big on like pizza, right? They're like, and funnily enough, the best pizza they had was just like plain margarita. Was like, I think they're like their best pizzas are actually just like margarita. So I would say I kind of like the simplicity of just like a normal margarita with like mozzarella, you know? I think like everything else can be nice, but sometimes it's overkill. Because if you just have like the fundamentals of a great pizza, then it can just be like a perfect pizza. So I would just say like, you know, mozzarella, tomato. That's
Great.
enough.
Yeah. אוקיי, אז השאלה היא, מה התוספות האהובות לפיצה, והוא אומר שהוא הכי אוהב את הפיצה שלו, נטורל, מרגריטה, הכי טעים. Great. You know, not all questions have to be about cubing.
That's totally fine, yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, I know I'm kind of asking an obvious question, but someone is asking, what is your favorite 3x3 cube and lube?
Oh, yeah. So actually, it's funny because I made a video, just like, what was it, like Saturday, right? With like top 10 cubes to buy nowadays. I think like there's like a bunch of good cubes right now, and it just depends on like what your requirements are, like what you're looking for. I think like the best release recently was obviously the RS3V5 with the ball core, because there's like a lot of versions of different cubes, especially from Moyu, where like they make like small changes or like different features, and it becomes like kind of a lot to really like pick one cube. But I really like that one because of its simplicity. Maybe the same thing as with the margarita. It doesn't have like a lot of shiny things, but I think just the fundamentals of that cube are like really awesome. So I think like the V5 is definitely good. But I still like, again, 12 Magla, for example, as well. And I think like Tornado V3 is still awesome as well. So I think there isn't like one cube that's like the best out there. I think like everyone has like different preferences. And I think if you really want to know what cube is for you, you should definitely try them at competitions or stuff. Because you can only know what cube fits you if you try them. Because I can tell you like, oh, that cube is great, but if your turning style doesn't fit it, it's not that useful. So for me personally, I like the V5 a lot, but there's a lot of good cubes. So
Yeah. אוקיי, אז הוא אומר לנו שדבר ראשון יש הרבה קוביות טובות, והוא עשה סרטון לא מזמן על קוביות ששווה לקנות, אבל חוץ מזה הוא אומר כרגע RS3M V5 היא הכי טובה, הוא מאוד מאוד אוהב אותה, למרות כל המגוון של מויו, כמובן הזאת עם הבולקור וה-UV, הכי טובה. חוץ מזה הוא גם אומר שהוא עדיין, למרות שהיא כבר יחסית ישנה, עדיין אוהב את הגן 12 מגלה, וגם את הטורנדו V3, עדיין קוביות מצוינות, והוא גם אומר שאם אתם רוצים לבחור קובייה, הכי טוב להגיע לתחרות ולנסות אותה, הכי טוב. ואז תדעו מה הכי מתאים לכם, כי יש כל כך הרבה אופציות ואי אפשר באמת לבחור. Okay, so let's see. A lot of people are talking about Pablo.
Wait, I can probably show him.
They want,
I-
they want him.
Yeah, I kicked him around just before this, so I can. Yeah, I see him.
Yeah, it's
see him.
okay. הנה, רציתם, אז אתם הולכים לקבל. There it is.
There he is.
Okay,
kind
everyone
of-
happy?
Yeah, it's like Crazy is still alive, right? He's still doing well.
Good.
Wait, let me put him like in the corner here so people can look at him. It's like that.
Yeah, great, nice. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Okay. It's all about Pablo. Just a second.
Wait, maybe you should interview Pablo.
Yeah, actually. Maybe you're not that interesting. It's all about him. Okay, that's an interesting question. What do you think of the past week of all the records being broken? You know, Carter with the Skewb single, and now I guess Nathaniel with the Pyramid single, and like 2x2 average, and a 5x5 single. So many records. And the question is, when do you think the sub 3 single in 3x3 barrier will be reached?
That's funny because you mentioned a lot of records being broken, but also like past weekend, like we had 3 official 3-second solos.
Yeah, right.
One from Luke, one from Timon, and the other guy I don't actually know. I think that one came out of the blue. I don't know if you know like the
Oh,
third.
really?
Yeah, there's like
actually didn't hear of it as well. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it might be really soon of the first sub 3 because we've been pushing these boundaries so much over the last months. I think like ever since Yihang showed like how fast you
He
can
can
actually
count
get.
a 3. Yeah.
Yeah, once he actually showed that, I think it gave people the confidence or like I think it changed something that people suddenly push themselves more and realize that they can be faster. And I don't know when we will get like a sub 3 single, but it might be possible that it's going to be very soon. But if I have to take a guess, I think I'm actually guessing it will be this year. I think it's going to be, well, let me just guess something. Let me just say like a random date. It's going to be let's say like November 27.
You better hope it's a Sunday.
Yeah. Wait. Let me actually.
This won't happen.
Yeah, wait. Let me actually. I'm gonna say a date, and if it's gonna be exactly that date, it's gonna be. Okay, let's do 24, November 24.
November
Is that like a
24,
special
okay.
day? No, right?
I mean, you should hope it's a Saturday or Sunday for a competition to happen.
Yeah, wait. Let me put it in my calendar. Sub 3 incoming.
Single. Yeah.
Yeah, it might be sooner to be honest, but it's just like you have to have luck as well, right? You cannot be.
A lot of luck, yeah.
Yeah, but there's a lot of souls where if Yihang would have gotten like a PLL skip, I'm not entirely sure, but I bet he has a few official singles where if he got a PLL skip, he would have gotten sub 3. So
Yeah, maybe.
I think it's doable. It's doable.
Yeah, I mean, you know, like that solve with Hassan, which he got like a 26 move solve, and then someone was like, "Are you Hassan?" And yeah, so there are solves sub 30 in speed solving, not just FMC. אוקיי, so I'll translate. אז שאלנו אותו מתי הוא חושב שיהיה סינגל סאב 3, אז הוא אומר שבאמת יש עכשיו תנופה אדירה, מלא אנשים ממש נהיים מהירים בטירוף, והוא חושב שכמובן יינג יכול לעשות את זה, ועוד כל מיני אנשים יכולים לעשות את זה, והוא שם לו תאריך ביומן. When was the date? Did you say 24th of November?
Yes, November 24th.
Okay.
It will happen,
24
yeah.
בנובמבר, סינגל סאב 3, תרשמו ביומן של קיובהד זה כבר נמצא. אוקיי. Great. Next.
I think also
Yeah.
a good question would be like, who would break it then, right? Because like you would assume it is
Yeah.
Yihang, but
Yihang or
I'm-
like Marx.
yeah, I think Maddie can do it as well, or Timon. He's gonna be one of those guys. Luke as well. It's gonna be one of those 5 guys probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then again, like Yu Shengdu, like no one expected him to get a world record, and he still got one. So it can be anyone really.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. What is your most well-memoried cubing experience? Let's say, what was your best experience in cubing?
I think it has to be when I broke the national record. It might be pretty cliche, but I didn't expect it at all, to be honest. And I was actually having like a pretty bad competition because I was getting pretty bad times. But the funny thing is, I remember sitting down and telling myself this will be the national record, which is super funny because it doesn't make any sense. But I was saying that to myself right before that, so because my turning was good, and usually when I'm bad at a competition, my turning just is not good. Because of the nerves, or like I don't know. So usually at competitions, my turning is not good.
Yeah, I can relate.
Yeah, during that competition, my turning was actually good, but it was just like mentally, I was like doing a lot of mistakes and stuff. And I just told myself this will be the national record, and then it happened. So I don't know. It kind of made me believe in stuff because I really said to myself 5 times I will break the national record. Then suddenly it happened. I did not expect it at all, and that was a really, really great memory. Yeah. I think like
Okay.
aside from that, I think it has to be like the European Championships because I had like a great experience there as well.
Hopefully in a few months it will be
in Spain. Yeah,
even
hopefully.
better. I'll see you
Even
there.
better, who knows?
I will be there. Yeah.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah. Come say hi, obviously.
אוקיי, so I will translate. הוא אומר לנו שהחוויה הכי טובה שלו מתחרויות, ובכללי מקיובינג, שהוא עשה שיא ארצי. מובן לגמרי, הוא אמר שהייתה לו תחרות די גרועה, ולפני הפטירה הזאת הוא אמר לעצמו, זה הולך להיות השיא. ואז הוא באמת עשה שיא. אז יפה מאוד, ברור שזו חוויה נהדרת. אוקיי, so the next question is as such. Which type of cubing content do you think is missing on YouTube? And is it because no one is willing to make it? Maybe you want to make it? You can expand. I mean, it isn't very. It's very broad.
that's like pretty difficult because obviously my job is to look for content that I both want to make and something that will work as well. But I think the problem with cubing is that, and something that people should realize as well, is that if you want to make a job out of YouTube, like cubing YouTube, you have to target like the regular audience, like people who not cube as well, because cubing itself is not big enough to just like sustain someone's income just from like the view. So if you would only make like super specific cubing tutorials or like something videos that only speed cubers would understand, it's going to be really difficult to get enough views, right? So I think I don't necessarily think that we're missing content. I think it's mostly that a lot of beginning channels out there still need to figure out what good videos actually are. I think that's like working on how to tell stories and how to make content engaging. I don't necessarily think we're missing stuff. I think it still can be improved because I don't know. There's still like a lot of room left because right now we don't have like a lot of really big channels that are being active. So I think it's still doable for smaller channels to, I mean, work their way up. I think if you want to do that, you have to focus on entertainment. So I'm not saying we're missing something, but I think we can definitely use more channels. And I think like mostly channels that talk more about cubing specifically, just like try to like channels that really mix like everyday entertainment with also like cubing specific stuff. So not like
cubing
too
elements,
much.
Like
It's like the mix, like the perfect balance between the two. And I try to do that. but it's really difficult to actually get, because sometimes when you focus too much on entertainment, you kind of lose the cubing part. But if you focus too much on the cubing, then it's going to be difficult to get views. So I think we need more channels that are like really good at making entertaining content, but also bring in enough of like the cubing element, which will hopefully encourage more people to start cubing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said something very, very important. Like when you create content, you need to tell a story. So I don't think many people understand it, that creating content isn't, I mean, I'm not creating content, but I know that when it isn't as, I mean, I know it isn't simple. It doesn't seem simple, but it still isn't simple as it seems, because you need to think about a storyline, even though it's real life, even though it's things which aren't like a fairy tale. It's still, you need to tell a story. You need to engage the viewer in an experience and make him relate to the content.
You have to, I think like that's important. Like there has to be a reason why you're watching a video, and also why you would want to watch the entire video till the end. And usually you work towards something. For example, if you would go to a competition, a nice way to work up to the end is like focusing a lot on like the final round, or like kind of building the hype of what's going to happen at the end. But that's also like creating a story, right? And I think a lot of beginning cubing YouTubers don't focus too much on that. They have like a video idea, but they just start making it and don't really focus on like how to get to the end, or like how to keep people engaged. And that's about like the storytelling and
the entire
how
video is like a middle.
yeah, exactly. Like they have somewhat an idea, but they don't focus too much on like getting people interested, or like what the purpose of everything is and stuff. For example, even something as simple as like the top 10 video I did, you work your way up to like the final cube. And because I started with the cheapest cube and ended with the most expensive cube, you don't really call that a story, but there is like a storyline somewhere, because like you're adding features, you're adding like exclusivity, and you work your way up to the end. Like even something like that becomes a story then. It's I don't think too much about it. It almost happens subconsciously when I have to make videos like that. But I think like especially if you're starting out, you have to think of, like really study what is working and what isn't, and then try to find a mix between what you want to create and what really works. Because you can also not like only do stuff that work, because then your video just becomes like a Mr. Beast video, and I don't think you want that either. It's like kind of a balance between what works and what you want to make. But I think a lot of people still need to figure out what kind of content really works and mix that with what they want to make. Yeah.
Yeah, great. So, אז הוא אומר לנו שהוא לא חושב שחסר משהו ספציפית, והוא כן אומר אבל שחסרים הרבה ערוצים. הוא רוצה שעוד אנשים יגיעו וייצרו תוכן משלהם, וגם דיברנו קצת על איך יצירת תוכן היא בעצם יותר מסתם לצלם סרטון, היא לספר סיפור, זה הרבה יותר מסתם סרטון. צריך שיהיה התחלה, אמצע וסוף, כדי שהסרטון יהיה מספיק מעניין, כדי שאנשים ירצו לראות אותו עד הסוף. וזו בעיה, נגיד, שאנשים שרוצים להיכנס וליצור תוכן, לא תמיד מבינים את זה, ואז יוצא שהתוכן שלהם לא מספיק מעניין, והם לא מבינים למה הוא לא מספיק מעניין. אז באמת הדרך ללמוד איך לעשות את זה, זה ללמוד איך מספרים סיפור מההתחלה ועד הסוף, וזה מאוד מאוד חשוב. אוקיי, so, next one. Do you know Israeli Cubers? We like to brag about ourselves, but do you know anyone except me?
I don't think specifically. Like, maybe if you mention some names, I might actually like.
Yeah, Gil. I mean, but
yeah, obviously, I know him as a person. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean Ben Barron.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the thing is, like, I don't know. Like, I know some names, but then obviously I wouldn't know from everyone like what their nationality
I see.
is. So it's like I probably know some names, but I wouldn't really like.
Yeah, Yoav Vishne maybe. He's 7th in the world in 2x2. He has a 113 average.
I think I might have actually like heard of him as well. Yeah. because a lot of times I would like see times like that or like averages like that pass on YouTube, and I would actually watch the videos, but it's not like I immediately
Yeah, I
like
see.
know everyone that
Yeah.
yeah. It becomes difficult, especially
Yeah,
if you know a lot
obviously.
of
Yeah.
people. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, let's see. What's the favorite video of yours? I mean, which video you like the most or proud of the
Ooh,
most?
that's a really difficult one. I sometimes,
All your children, you can pick. Yeah, that's the cliche answer.
you know, the funny thing is, so, and I often say this, and people find that like pretty weird, but most of the videos I upload and I initially find like really bad because it's difficult to explain, but if you have to edit an entire video, you would like rewatch the same part over and over again. You would like start cutting stuff, like mixing stuff around, like make a bunch of differences, and you would if I edit a video, I would see like a bunch of like shortcomings of like things that don't make sense to me or I don't enjoy. But you cannot like keep improving stuff because you'll just waste a lot of time. So eventually I upload a video and I'll just like hope people enjoy it. But it's only after I rewatch a video of mine after a few months that I look at it and I'm like, oh, that's actually a good video. I think like probably the videos that I'm proudest of are actually just my beginner tutorials. Or like just tutorials in general, because I've been doing more tutorials like recently, and although they aren't there to like get a ton of views or like to blow up or go viral or stuff, I noticed that people really appreciate that I was able to teach them something. And I gained like a lot of gratitude from people just from teaching people concepts through videos. And that's something new as well, because like I started uploading like CFOP videos, and a lot of people like really appreciated that. And I think just the gratitude is just like knowing that your video actually helps someone. That helps a lot as well, because like people often tell me that in competitions this would happen a lot, that their parents would come up to me and they'll say like, oh, my children really like your videos, it means a lot to them, like they really get entertained. But it's entertainment is still like, does it really help someone? I don't really know. But like if you do a tutorial, then you specifically like help someone in trying to understand something. And then I would say probably like my beginner tutorial, because that one, like a few million people saw that one, and it probably helped a lot of people solve their first cube. And just from that
Yeah.
idea, that would be my probably the most proud video I've made.
Great, אוקיי. אז הוא אומר לנו שהסרטון שהוא הכי גאה בו והוא הכי אוהב זה דווקא הסרטון שהוא מלמד איך לפתור 3 על 3. משום שהוא מרגיש שיש לזה איזשהו ערך מוסף, כי אנשים לא רק רואים את הסרטון ושוכחים, הם ממש לומדים איך לפתור את הקובייה, שזה מרגש וזה מאוד כיף. אוקיי, let's see. Let's see. Okay, it's pretty specific. I mean, the questions all repeat themselves over and over again. Let's see. Let's get 2 more questions and then we will finish. So ask your questions now in the chat before the interview ends. תשאלו שאלות בצ'אט עכשיו, לפני שאנחנו מסיימים, עוד 2 שאלות ואנחנו נסיים להיום. אוקיי. All the questions. Okay, that is an interesting one. Which is your favorite method for solving a 3x3 besides CFOP?
Ooh. Yeah, I personally haven't like really tried a lot of methods. I do see like Phil Yu from the Cubicle doing a lot of ZZ, and I think it's really interesting. And I think it might actually be a method that hasn't really been studied enough. Because you know, with ZZ, it's like ZZ is like pretty similar to CFOP, right? Where you would orient all of the edges first, and it kind of sets up like a better cross for CFOP because afterwards you don't have to rotate. And I think that's just like really interesting, and I see a lot of potential in that. But obviously, Rue as well is like, I think Rue has shown itself the most, especially in one-handed. But I still need to do a video where I actually try Rue for, let's say, a month or something. I think that would be like a really interesting video.
No,
But
that's a story.
that, yeah,
Starting
that
to
would,
exercise and then going to a competition and competing with Rue.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. I really want to do something like that.
nice.
But you also have to find a time for stuff like that because that takes
Yeah,
a lot of
yeah,
time
right.
because you also want to like be good at it and you have to practice a lot. But yeah, I don't know enough about like all of the different methods. Like for me to give a good answer, I would have to try all of them and then
Yeah,
decide.
all of them. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think
Uh,
like probably Rue and Z. I think Rue is probably the only really viable other method than CFOP at the moment. Maybe there's something else comes along, but I think now it's either like CFOP or Rue. So yeah.
great. אז הוא אומר לנו שהוא חושב שיש לזיזי הרבה פוטנציאל, כי זה באמת עושה את ה-F2L הרבה יותר קל, ואז גם אפשר לעשות ZBLL, והוא רואה את פיליו פותר, והוא חושב שיש לזה פוטנציאל, אבל אני חושב שגם עדיין לא חקרו את זה מספיק, לא מספיק אנשים פותרים עם זה. חוץ מזה, הוא גם אומר שרו זו שיטה שהרבה יותר הוכיחה את עצמה גם, למשל ביד אחת, שזה באמת, רואים אנשים כמו פאמי שפותר בטירוף, מהר בטירוף, ושהוא חושב שזה יהיה רעיון מעניין לסרטון, להתאמן ברו ואז ללכת לתחרות ולפתור ברו, לראות, לתת שיפוט אמיתי. אוקיי, final question for tonight. Before the final question, I will say again thank you, and I also say it in Hebrew. תודה רבה, אני מודה מאוד לזה שהוא הגיע, זה מאוד לא מובן מאליו, ואני רואה כמה אתם שמחים מהרעיון הזה, וזה כיף מאוד שאנחנו יכולנו לעשות את זה. Okay, now, let's see a good question for the last one. Okay, let's get a question, not about cubing for the last one. What do you like to do besides cubing? What occupies your time besides it?
I think there's not like any specific hobbies I do. I think I do enjoy going to the gym. I do sim racing as well. I do like Gran Turismo 7. I don't know if you know the game, but I have like a small racing simulator setup and I enjoy doing that as well. But I think I spend like most of my time after my work with my girlfriend just like casually watching stuff or like hanging out with my family. I try to do that as much as I can. But yeah, something else I do is I read now and then. I don't think enough people do that, but something, and that might be the most important question answer is that I try to spend as much of my time not on my phone because it's so easy to like get caught up and just like spend all of your time on your phone. I especially try to avoid doing that, just because I want to experience the world, So whenever I get the opportunity to go out and to go to different countries for like competitions or like content, I try to do that as well. But
You are
yeah,
very
I think like
welcomed to Israel.
yeah, I
We
should do
have
that
good
as well.
competitions.
Yeah,
After the
I
championship, you
bet.
will be very welcomed.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah. Yeah, I actually might. Who knows? Who knows? That would be
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. You will have where to stay, don't worry. Okay, great. I will translate it and then we will wrap up.
Okay.
אוקיי, אז הוא אומר לנו שיש לו, בגדול הוא, חוץ מקיובינג, יש לו תחביב קטן של לדמות מרוצים, יש לו איזה סטאפ כזה שהוא נוהג מרוצים כזה במשחק, והוא אוהב את זה, וחוץ מזה הוא גם מנסה לבלות כמה שיותר זמן עם המשפחה, ולקרוא, ונותן גם טיפ לחיים, לא להיות בטלפון, אז תקשיבו לו, לא להיבלע לטלפון, לקרוא במקום, לפתור קוביות במקום, להירשם לתחרות בפסח במקום, זה אני אמרתי, זה לא הוא. כן, אז, אוקיי. Great. Thank you for joining us and answering the questions. You answered very greatly. It was very interesting. You didn't give like flat answers, which was great. I'm complimenting like your answers, but obviously you know how to answer questions. It was very interesting, and I could talk for much more, but we do need to finish. Yeah, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, thanks for having me as well. Like live streams like this and stuff like really give me the opportunity as well to like talk to an audience and like just like I don't know get to know the community better. So I do appreciate that as well, and I appreciate it as well for you to actually like spend the time and spend of like your knowledge and stuff to like to help the community as well. And I think we should appreciate it as well because it's all one part, you know. Like I'm part of like the content creation, and hopefully that helps the community. But you're doing your part as well, and thanks for that.
Thank you.
So yeah, we're all on the same team, right? So I'm looking forward to meeting you European Championships, and yeah, it was great.
For
It was
sure.
great being here. Yes.
Great. Okay. Okay, so I think we're done, right? אל תשכחו להירשם אל תשכחו להירשם לתחרות בפסח.